Hey everyone, welcome to the 19th episode of Bulldog Weekly, Season 6. I'm Labby.
And I'm Emma. In this week's episode, Labby will teach us about web design, Molly will talk with the debate team, and we have a special short film for you at the end of the video.
But first, let's get started with Mr. Devoll and Mr. Tilden with our week ahead of school and sports.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Rundown. Today is Sunday, March 19th, and we are working our way through the longest month of the school year. We're also approaching the end of Term 3, so we've got about 2 weeks left of Term 3, so we're eagerly encouraging our students to turn in some work as we approach the end. 5 days of Bulldog block this week during the day, a couple of special events, the Tea Club on Tuesday, Crane Origami Project also on Tuesday. Wednesday we're going to have the Music Appreciation Club and the Memory Project. Thursday we've got Trivia Thursdays, the Combined Band, BIPOC Club, and board games. Finally on Friday, Yoga and Magic the Gathering. Now in the evening this week we have a couple of events. Wednesday night, we've got students versus faculty basketball game. Friday night, we have the alumni basketball game sponsored by our Athletic Hall of Fame. And Monday, we start spring sports. So we have a full offering of all of our spring sports. They start Monday after school. We've encouraged all of our students to register in advance so that we have all of the paperwork and your physical all set to go so that you can participate tomorrow. That's it. That's the rundown. We're working our way through March.
Thank you very much, Mr. Devoll. This week is all about boys basketball. They finished up their tournament season last Friday. Fantastic game versus Boston English. I think that is a very high-scoring offense. We held them scoreless through the first quarter. Ended up with a 73-35 win over a very good Boston English school. Came back a few days later, had to compete with some storm and delay a game. We had St. Mary's of Lynn out at Quincy High School. Absolutely a gorgeous school, great venue for some tournament games. Very close game right up to the end. They got away from us on the free throws at the end. We lost 59-50 to end our tournament season in the Final Four. Very proud of our boys. Now we're off to spring sports. We get a whole 3-day break back into spring sports. Hopefully the weather warms up for us. Everybody who hasn't signed up, make sure you sign up now. That's it from here, so back to the Bulldog crew. Thanks for all you do.
Thanks so much, Mr. Devoll and Mr. Tilden. Good luck to all the sports teams competing this week.
Next, I'm going to teach you how to create a website. Let's see what we can learn. Today, I'm going to be explaining the basics of HTML code. Now, this code, it's almost on every website you see. When you're looking up a news station, writing down a document, playing a game, every website has these things. And you can find them by right-clicking on anywhere on the page and hitting inspect. For now, I'll just be using this website to show what the code I'm typing in and what it would look like when it's published. Most common names you have probably seen is Google, Docs, Gmail, the everyday tabs that you open. To make this, we will first need to create a head element. This is the start of every web script and it's simple as this. Then you put the title you want below like this. Most of these things will need an opening and a closing. To add a closing to it, you just copy what you had on the first, but put a slash before you put in the text. If you want to get a head start and put the closing body right away, that's up to you. Sometimes it's efficient to do it this way because some forget to add it after. Now that we have the title done, it's time to actually work on the page. So for this, we have to create a body text. And this is the same thing. You have the start and then you have the closing. And you put everything that you want inside of it. The first one we will discuss is H1. This is the header tag. In most cases, this acts like the title of the page, and it has 6 different sizes. You can adjust the size by changing the number from 1 through 6. In most cases, you'll be using just 1 or 2. And once you finish what you want as the header, close it off. The next one I'll be teaching you is the P element, which is also the paragraph. To my knowledge, every single website uses this because it's mainly used for any text that you see. on the page that you're watching this probably has it right around it as well. So to do this, the same as the H1 or the header tag, you just create the start of it, and then you create the closing with what you want to put in between it. Create the tag first. Type in what you want, and then you can close it off. When putting all of this down, you can have 2 lines of the same tag if you'd like to make another row of text, like a paragraph. The last one I'll be teaching you is IMG, or image. Though it's not as easy as the other 2 that I explained, which is the header and the paragraph, because you need an additional thing in the code. But it's not really that bad. To make it a little less confusing, it'll look something like this. Inside these quotations, you will want to put an image's link. You can do this by right-clicking the image you want and selecting Copy Image Address. Pasting it into the code won't do anything at first, but that's because it's processing it. Sometimes it'll ask you to put an alt in the line of code, which is the alternative text. In this case, the image fails to load. For this basics, just put in what the image was intended to be. If you would like to learn more about coding your own website, you can take Mr. Linnane's class of web design, where you learn about the basics that I've taught you today and additional things, where you can customize the page however you want. Whether the background is colored up, the text is a different color, the images are in the center of the page, any way that you'd like. Hopefully this encouraged you all, and I'll see you in about 4 seconds.
Thanks so much, Labby. I can't wait to design my own website.
Next, Molly sat down with some of the members from the debate team. Let's see what they have to say.
Hey everyone, it's Molly Duper here, and we are sitting with 2 of the members of the debate team. Do you guys want to say your names?
My name's Eva Hartley.
I'm Jacob Hadley.
Before we start with all that debate chat, do you want to give us a little bit about yourselves, like your grade, your passions beyond debate?
Yeah, so I'm a junior, and debate obviously has been a big thing through the past 4 years, but I also do things like Science Olympiad and a lot of other clubs. I love being part of the extracurriculars, and I really love debate because I love the research element, and it's a fun time. It's a good club.
Yeah, I'm also a junior here at ORR, and besides debate, which is a pretty big passion of mine, I'm also passionate about Science Olympiad like Eva. I also play tennis. I'm on student council. Yeah, tennis, yeah. Yeah, I love debate. It's a great way to do research and learn how to public speak, and yeah, it's great.
And I am also a junior. Now, for our audience members who probably don't know a ton about debate, do you think you guys could give us a bit of a rundown about your positions on the team, and also kind of how would you call it a match or
A meet,
meet?
I guess.
Yeah.
How a meet would work?
Yeah, so basically every team, you're in like a 2-person team, so it's me and Jacob for ours, and then you choose either the affirmative side or the negative side. And the negative side, or I'll start with the affirmative actually. The affirmative side spends their time preparing for the meets, which start around December, by writing about like 8-minute constructive, it's called, which is basically a speech, but it's written out, and you have to prove certain topics, like certain points. So like that there's a need for change is one of them, that it can be solved, that there's a reason it isn't already in place, which is inherency, that it's topical to whatever the overall topic for the year is for everyone in the league. Is that all of them? Need,
Did you say solvency?
Inherency.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to prove each of those.
Yeah, and we debate policy. So all the stock issues are evidence-based, and essentially it's the affirmative team versus the negative team. And like Eva said, like the affirmatives have a plan where they have to defend 4 main stock issues. And so to win a debate, the affirmatives have to win all 4 of those stock issues. And for the negatives to win, they only have to win 1. And so the affirmative plan has to revolve around what's called the resolve, which is basically, I guess, like a change that, or like a broad change that the federal government should be implementing. And this year's theme was emerging tech, and it had to do with the federal government increasing their security cooperation with NATO in biotech, cybersecurity, or artificial intelligence. And yeah, it's very structured. It's not like you see in the movies a lot of the time. It's more evidence-based, and each person speaks for a specific amount of time.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And the meets are typically every about 2 weeks once they start, maybe 3. And they're usually, you have 2 debates in a meet. And a debate is typically maybe an hour long, although it can change. So you have 2 in a day, and they're each about an hour.
That feels like a big time consumer. Do you guys ever struggle to balance debate and school, or and even your other extracurricular activities?
Yeah, I mean, definitely near the finals, debate ate up a lot of my time just because we spend so much time finding evidence, doing research, trying to think of counter arguments, and refining our plan because we're on the affirmative team. So throughout the whole season, we're curating one plan, trying to make it better and better after each debate, and trying to gather more evidence so that we're more prepared. And in the weeks leading up to the debate, I pretty much only did debate after school.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it can be a lot.
It doesn't have to be as time consuming as you might think, but you definitely do have to dedicate at least a few hours, really, at least once the debates actually start. But even before, you have to really focus a lot on the plan you're writing and spend a few hours, about a week, or maybe even an hour a week, just anything to get this plan written.
Now, you guys both started debate your freshman year, which of course was more of a COVID time. How was that different, and how did that kind of impact the way you debate nowadays?
I mean, personally, it kind of helped me because I was and I still am in a lot of ways, a very shy person, I guess. I wasn't very fond of public speaking. So in freshman year, it was over Zoom. We were in our rooms. And quite frankly, you could mute your computer if you didn't want to hear your opponents talk at the end.
Yeah, I would play chess sometimes.
Yeah, you were, if it wasn't going well, you could look away, and you could, when it was over, close your computer and lay in your bed. You know what I mean? You weren't in front of these people. You didn't have to look them in the eye.
So it was almost like a nice build up.
Yeah.
To
because then the next year, our partner would be together in the school, but we'd still be on Zoom with our opponents. So it was the next level of you're in a place and you're with your partner, but you're still not face to face with an opponent.
Yeah.
So you didn't have that level of intimacy yet, which again I thought would be scary, but now that we've had it, it's honestly really great, and I'm kind of sad that we've missed out on it. But at least at the time, I feel like it was a nice way to introduce myself to public speaking.
That's really cool.
Yeah, this year was totally different. We had to be in a room with the negative team and the judge. You really have to be mindful of your body language and your eye contact.
Your eye rolls.
Yeah, and the debates are definitely a lot more active, and I honestly enjoyed it more because you could really be more immersed in the debate and sort of get your point across more clearly. And it was honestly just more fun than having to do it over Zoom.
It was a lot of fun.
Eye rolls kind of brings me to my next question. Obviously, I don't know how competition with other debate teams works because I've never been on a debate team. But how would you describe your competition with the other teams? Uncivil? Can the competition be a bit brutal, so to speak?
I mean, it's definitely a weird mix of you have to be very civil in terms of the judge, but you can definitely be very snarky. I mean, you have, in between your constructives, you have times that are called cross-examinations, where you're up there with the other, one member of the other team, and you're asking them questions for 3 minutes and they have to answer, and then they'll ask you questions at a different cross-ex time. And in those times, you're going back and forth, and you're you can say, you can be oh, this is my cross-ex, please, don't go on. You can say snarky comments, and it can get a little aggressive, but it also is under the tone of, you have to seem very civil, but you can tell that there's so that's kind of fun. It's kind of a very passive aggressive, because they're asking you questions to try to set you up, to try to win a point.
It's definitely fun to be snarky and aggressive.
It's
and
a mental game.
Yeah, and once the judges leave after the debate, usually they leave very fast, and you're kind of in the room with your opponents for a few minutes.
Yeah, it's very awkward after, because like you don't really know what to say, and like after you've just kind of had like a brutal match, you know, you got to be nice, and we've had some
good interactions,
interesting
some bad
encounters in the past.
interactions. Yeah.
Yeah, people definitely like will try to continue to debate you even after the debate is over, and that can get a little controversial sometimes.
It's a cutthroat competition.
Oh yeah, it can get
It
super
really
competitive.
is.
Yeah.
I was wondering, after like 3 years of debate, what is the hardest arguments you've ever had to debate for?
I'd say hardest arguments that we have to debate for.
Yeah, I mean, we are the affirmative, so typically, at least in the past few years, we can kind of choose our main argument, and we can kind of dictate like what we're deciding to do. The negatives have to go in there, and they don't know what they're going to be arguing for.
Yeah, it's usually the negatives that have to argue like the more controversial side of the argument, because a lot of the times the affirmative plan is to propose a progressive change to improve something, whether it's like an aspect of the federal government, like the economy or society. And a lot of times like the affirmatives can, I guess, like come off as like the good guy. So I wouldn't really say that I've had like a tough debate or a tough argument that I've had to debate, even if it's sort of, even if it seems, I guess, I don't know, contentious.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, freshman year, I debated, Eva and I weren't partners yet, so I debated, the theme was criminal justice, and so I had to debate to reform predictive policing to mitigate police brutality. And last year was water resources, so my partner and I had to debate improving water rights for Native American tribes. And then this year, of course, was emerging tech, and so we were debating to implement this program called the APOL program for biodefense, which essentially provides more funding for vaccine research to create what are called vaccine candidates for the 26 viral families. And so obviously, like through our perspective, all of these plans, you know, are going to do good, but that's sort of like the whole premise of the negative team, is to come in and sort of pick holes in the plan. And the negatives, you know, may not like personally disagree with the issue that we're presenting, but it's just sort of their job to be like, you know, this plan isn't effective because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, and even when you're against it, like, they don't have to be like, I'm against the idea of it. It's like, oh, it's not going to work because the logistics. So like we have had negatives on our team, like people on the debate team, come back from a debate and be like, oh my God, we had to argue against like cancer research or like things like that. So if you're negative, you definitely can get into like a weird position with that.
Yeah, but it's
Sounds like
definitely
such a
very
challenge.
logistical.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like such a challenge. Now you two are a team. It's like you two working together for debates, and you recently just went to finals. Was that wasn't at the school, right? No, that was at another school, right?
Yeah, that was at Bridgewater Raymond.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Can you like kind of describe to us how you two like can like bond or work together to help succeed, and especially like in your case for like your most recent competition, which was of course the finals? I kind of just made that a two-part question.
I mean, it definitely is a lot of cooperation because you both have to really like understand the ideas that the other person is talking about.
And, like, bounce ideas off each other.
Yeah, because you're building this plan together, and if you guys both don't have like a really concise understanding of like, you know, the main plot of it, you're gonna get lost kind of in what you're talking about.
You really have to have good synergy and be on the same page, because you have very little prep time in between constructives, and a lot of the times, you know, the negatives won't just argue against one stock issue. They, you know, will spread their arguments across all stock issues, and so we have to work together to try to figure out the most effective counter arguments to all of the negatives debates.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it definitely helps to collaborate and try to combine our ideas and think of what we can say, you know, based on who's speaking next, and like that.
So how did finals go? That was a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So it was a little...
It's a little rocky.
We didn't win, Well, it was a little controversial because the team we were supposed to go up against forfeited, so we ended up having to go against a team which we had already debated against. So they already knew what our plan was, and so they had already developed all the counter arguments, and they knew exactly what to attack. And we actually figured out that they changed a lot of their evidence from the last time we debated them, so that we actually couldn't attack it.
Yeah.
And like they had tweaked so many things, and it was just frustrating.
It was, yeah, because it doesn't help us to know them because we're the affirmatives, our plan is already set, but it helps them to know what our plan already was.
Yeah,
and
because
we
that's
only,
the whole point. Like negatives aren't really supposed to know the plan. But.
And they only lost, they won one of our stock issues, which is how they won. But even the stock issue they won was something that we were like, how did that happen? Like,
Was it topicality?
It was topicality, which is just that it relates to the resolve, and it was very frustrating.
I mean, it was a good debate, you know, but
I mean,
I still think we should.
I'm still mad about it, actually. But it's over. And honestly, before we knew the position we were in at, well, we were at first before that, and then second after. I honestly didn't understand that we were even like that high up. Like it kind of, because we were 6-2, which obviously is good. We won 6, lost 2, but that's not the best.
And years past, like 6-2 teams have been middle of the pack. You know, last year's affirmative team that went to the finals was undefeated. And they were actually from ORR, back in Eddie, so.
Of course.
So we kind of weren't even prepared to realize that we were going to be in that position, which is also why our research in the last week was like a lot.
And it was a 3-way tie, so 3 teams were 6-2. We were actually leading on speaker points.
Oh, good.
So we had the advantage, but it of course came down to record, and so it was really competitive. And one affirmative team, which wasn't going to slip by to the finals, but I still think I'm still salty about it.
Topicality, like,
I know, their arguments were so terrible.
they're so bad.
Nevertheless, I'm sure you guys had a great season, especially if you won 6 games. Or meets. I got it. It took me a sec. Now we're almost done, but I wanted to ask if you had anything you would want to say to people who were thinking about maybe joining debate team.
Yeah, I mean, it might seem kind of scary maybe, or like overwhelming, or like extra homework, but it really is a great team with great people, and it doesn't have to be that level of competitiveness if you don't want it to be. It's about going and having fun, and you know, like we make it as fun as we can, and it doesn't have to be the level of stress that maybe it seems like.
You pick up a lot of good communication and public speaking skills. You learn how to think on your feet, how to do effective research and evaluate like evidence credibility and stuff like that. And you know, it really complements academics in a way. Like I definitely did a lot better in terms of like just academic presentations like through debate. So it definitely helps in a lot of aspects of just, I don't know, just your future in general.
It's
and you know,
really...
it teaches you how to, you know, work in a team and and you know, it's fun. You get to meet a lot of new people and, you know, learn how to interact on like a competitive and argumentative level. And,
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I hope you had a great season, and I hope you have a great season next year, which I know you're probably like trying to just chill out right now. You don't need to prep for that just yet. But thank you so much for coming in. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you.
Once again, I'm Molly Dupree, and back to the studio.
Thanks so much, debate team, and congratulations on an amazing season.
And finally, we get to see
What's going on?
I don't know what's going on.
You best not reach for that gun. Same goes for yourself.
Don't you move now, or I'll have you on the ground faster than a hawk can howl.
Now, I'm sure we can come to some sorts of an agreement.
After what you've done, I'm not so sure about that.
Sheriff, I've told you once, and I don't have to tell you again. 1, I didn't steal no family fortune. And 2, I wasn't involved in no demise of the Dahmer goose.
Stop lying to me, Jedediah. I know you and your gang of half-wits were there that night. You stole the money from the Damagu estate. And once you realized the ruckus you created, you had to hightail it out of there. Now you can come with me the easy way, or you can come with me the hard way.
What proof do you have, Sheriff? Because to me, it sounds like a load of baloney.
You see, you thought you were so clever. But when you and your gang left, you seem to have forgotten about the maid who escaped through the back. Came right over to my place and told me everything that she saw.
Well, sounds like you got a pretty good source to me. Now, before you shackle me up and send me to my creator, can a man get a drink?
I suppose it can't hurt.
Much obliged, Sheriff.
Howdy. How y'all doing?
Give me some cactus juice.
What's your name, stranger?
Why do you need to know?
'Cause it looks like you're hiding something.
Jedediah.
Well, Jedediah, do me! Wowie, I got myself a criminal!
That he is. And if you get so close enough to breathe on him, I'll make sure you don't make it out this saloon.
And who are you?
Me? I'm the sheriff around here. And this man Jedediah Doomy has robbed and cheated people his whole life. Ain't that right, Jedediah? Now, if you'd be so kind as to step away from my friend.
Yes, Sheriff. I'll just be over here standing next to my old buddy.
Get away from me.
I'm just trying to be friendly.
All right, you finished with your drink now. Get over here and we can...
Whew, that Desert Sun ain't no joke. Hi, aren't you that chap that robbed that train?
I knew I recognized you from somewhere. My goodness, you're the midnight train robber.
Whew, the midnight train robber. I got 2 criminals right in front of me. How lucky am I?
Now, ain't there a law against arresting 2 people at once?
I am the law.
Now, wait just a minute. There is a hefty bounty on the midnight train robber, and you're not gonna let the sheriff take your rightful reward.
Snake.
I saw him first. He's my bounty.
Don't make a mess of my saloon, y'all.
Why don't we all just calm down?
You know, come to think of it, I recognize you. Seen your face on a wanted poster.
I know what you're doing, Jedediah, and it won't work. You're not getting out of here.
Hey, I ain't wanted.
That's exactly what a wanted person would say.
Quiet! Quiet! Now ain't no one leaving this saloon till we figure out who each and every one of y'all is. I know who this is, and I know who you are. Actually, you know what? Midnight Train Robber, why don't you come over here? Now listen up. If any one of you tries anything funny, no one's leaving this saloon.
Teachers and students, if you would like to have something filmed and shown on Bulldog Weekly, let us know here at the ORC TV station.
Be sure to check out our Vimeo and social media channels for everything we film here at ORC TV. We film sports games, town meetings, school events, and so much more.
And just like that, we've come to the end of our 19th episode of Bulldog Weekly. I'm Sid Sidney.
I'm Midnight Train Robber,
and we'll see you next time.